Off the block, it's out, and Purdue will take it.
Colvin on the slide. What a better way to end this one on senior night.
Spectacular crowd inside Mackey Arena. Colvin puts an end to the first set.
How sweet it is! The Purdue Boilermakers punch their ticket to the Sweet 16.
Is down. History for Dave Shondell. The all-time wins leader at Purdue.
Welcome back to the Dig City Podcast. It's been a bit since we caught up, but plenty to talk about, Coach. I'm Cory Palm. He's head coach Dave Shondell, and we're brought to you by Franciscan Health, the official medical provider of Purdue Athletics and the sponsor of this wonderful show. How's your winter been?
Kind of cold.
Yeah, a little bit.
But no, it's been really, really good. After the season, Angie and I got a chance to get down to Southwest Florida for a little bit, and it's always nice for me, in particular, to kind of regroup a little bit down there in the warmer weather, and had a good time, and then came back for a little bit, then went down to the John Purdue Club event, the Mullencoff and Keys event down there, and that was a lot of fun. Had a chance to meet a lot of people and see a lot of old Purdue friends, but man, do we have some loyal fans. And I got a chance to hear Mike Bobinski speak a couple of times, which is always a treat. And Mike's pretty much very honest about his feelings about things, and he shared where we were and some ideas that he has for helping with I think keeping the program moving in the right direction. So it was a good time.
That's good. Yeah, it's a really interesting time in college sports, and I know anytime I hear that Mike's going to be speaking somewhere, I try and find a seat in the room because it's fascinating time for sure. Well, we're back on campus, and classes have been in session for almost 2 months now. Yeah. I know you guys are getting to the there have been individuals and there have been other things that the team's doing, but you're getting very close to team workouts.
I think our fans would be interested to know that when we come back after the break and we start the new semester, that we're really in the gym only for about 4 hours per week per player, and that's normally in small groups. With one of those days, we try to get in the gym for an hour and a half or 2 hours as a team.
Okay.
Because I just really feel like getting in as a team is important. Because we kind of live together for 4 hours a week, and then we get in the gym. And that's a program that lasts about 8 weeks, I'm guessing. I know in 2 weeks from now, we start going back to our 20-hour a week, and start getting really getting after it and making a lot of progress. But I've seen a lot of progress made right now. I really like the attitudes in which our team is responding with, and the work ethic. They learned an awful lot. No matter what happened, what their role might have been during the fall, they know where they're at, and they know what they need to do to better their situation. So I've been pretty pleased with what we've seen, and I think we're making progress.
It's an interesting time for your program because just the juxtaposition, easy for me to say, of a year ago to now. A year ago, a lot of uncertainty, a lot of maybe folks outside the program lowering expectations maybe a bit, to this year where there's a ton of continuity. You've got a huge portion of your roster back, and given the success of last season, have external forces raised expectations?
Absolutely, as they should.
Yeah.
You go to the Elite Eight and you lose a 4-set match at Pitt against a really good team, and you have the majority of your team returning, and you have these 4 freshmen that redshirted that nobody's seen before, that I feel like all can contribute to the success of our team. And we pick up, Mimi Mamba from Georgia Tech, who is a really good player. And then you get some people that weren't healthier. And so there's a lot of positive things that are going on. And I've told our team more than a couple of times that we had a really good season last year. We finished 3rd in the Big Ten out of 18 teams. And now we have a lot back, and we're going to be a lot better. But it's going to be harder to finish 3rd in the Big Ten. Not that that's a specific goal of ours, by the way. But the competition is going to be so much stronger in our league. It's going to be so much stronger outside our league. I just thought last year was a bit of an anomaly, not that the teams were not good.
Right.
I just felt like it was the first time in a long time we haven't had a bunch of fifth-year players, and so competition was manageable for us. But I just think that this year, the league, the country in particular, are all going to be really, really good. And so that's just motivation for our team. And I remind them of that about every day, that it's going to be different next year, and we need to be ready.
Yeah, a lot more eyeballs on the team for sure. Attendance continued to be, a great storyline across the sport, and for your club last fall, for sure, filling up, larger arenas and looking to schedule interesting venues. And we'll talk a little bit about how that's affected spring, maybe here down the road. But it's really cool seeing the spotlight continue to really shine on collegiate volleyball.
I don't think it's going back. I just feel like the fans, the sports fans across the country have recognized that volleyball is fun to watch. And there are more and more great athletes turning towards volleyball than ever before. And the pro volleyball thing has certainly helped here in this country. And every night you can turn on the TV and find volleyball, which you could never do before. So, but college volleyball is certainly a big part of that, and we're excited that we're going to be on TV a bunch, as we have been in the past, and we will continue to be. So, yeah, I think it's a great time to be in the sport of volleyball.
For sure. You've only been saying it for 4 decades or so,
Well, it's always been a good time to be in the sport, but it's blowing up right now.
Yeah. You have seen the team a little bit. Like you said, limited time. Anybody standing out right now? Is it too early for that?
No, I think what I'm looking at right now, Cory, is just who's coming in with the right attitude, the right mentality. And I think the other day I said, we've got, 16 people on campus, and I feel like for the most part 12 or 13 really are doing all the right things that I want to see them do. And I didn't call out anybody in particular, but it gives everyone else a chance to think, well, I wonder who he's talking about. Who are those 3 or 4 that aren't coming in with the right attitude and mentality? And I have those conferences a little more individual with people trying to help them understand that, you may have been really, really good this past year, but that doesn't mean that you're going to be really, really good this year. And, the expectations go up, and roles change dramatically. And people don't know that the same people will have different roles, and what we need from each person is different now than it was in the fall, and most people understand that, but some people need to be reminded, and that's kind of why we have coaches.
Yeah. Well, speaking of coaches, a bit of a change on the staff as well. New addition in Ryan Wheeler as the technical coordinator.
Yeah.
And performance analyst. Wanted to get his title right.
Yeah.
Can't bust him down a level accidentally. But talk about Ryan and what he brings.
Well, he comes from a good background. I grew up in St. Louis, where he played with a really, really good club there. And then I think he started at Concordia out in California, and spent a year or 2 there before he transferred to Pepperdine, which is one of the top programs in all of America in men's volleyball. And he got good training there from good coaches there. And then when he graduated, the coach that had recruited him to Pepperdine was now the associate head coach at Texas. And he went there and was there for a year and a half as their analytics guy that was, coding practices and coding matches and in the gym all the time. And we felt like when we lost Ben Catrone, who was a vital part of our program. Ben was a great asset, I thought, in so many different ways. And this technology analytics position is more than that. I mean,
sure.
You don't hire somebody full-time to be a technology guy in volleyball. He has to give a lot in a lot of different ways. And so we use Ben in a variety of ways. He was what I would call a utility guy, and that's the same thing that we foresee with Ryan, being to come in here and be able to communicate with players and keep an eye on what they're doing and help them in whatever way they can, kind of a student-athlete development type of a person, but also, technology, and watch a lot of tape and help our athletes understand how they can get better by watching tape and watching themselves in practice, watching other people at the pro level or the college level. So, but he's a great young man, and he does bring some ideas. He's an idea guy. I found that out already in about 5 days. He likes to talk about technique and what we're doing and versus what they were doing other places and why. So I really like his curiosity.
It's always good to get, everyone. Continuity is awesome on a staff, for sure, as we've learned.
Yeah.
But it's great to get fresh blood, too, to come in and maybe question some things and say status quo works, but why? And make you defend some positions.
We had a staff meeting today, and I was quizzing Ryan Wheeler, our new man, about, how does this look compared to what you were seeing at Texas? Because obviously Texas is one of the 4 or 5 top programs in all of America, has been for a long, long time. And so you like to know, what are you seeing there compared to what we're doing here, and is it better, is it worse, and why, and then do you believe what he has to say or not? But he's just been here for a short amount of time, but he certainly had some opinions.
John Klinick played the men's game in college at a very high level with Ryan coming in with significant coaching experience or experience on staffs on the men's game. How does that translate? Is there are there a lot of differences or a lot of similarities, or am I all wet here?
No, well, you didn't really clarify which you were. You kind of played both sides of the ball on that one, but. Now, there's a lot of similarities between the two games, but there's also, a difference in kind of the power and how high above the net that men can play and how long they can hang in the air a little bit from that standpoint. But we are one of those programs that wants to try to take away from whatever we can find, whether it be international volleyball, whether it be men's volleyball, the best of women's volleyball. It really doesn't matter. If there's things that we can do to make ourselves better, then we're going to utilize those things. And I think having, John, who was, as you mentioned, a tremendous national champion at Ohio State, and he likes to come up with ideas. He's an idea guy as well, and I think you have to have that if you're going to get better, if you're going to better your program. And now you have Ryan Wheeler on board as well. So, but I think all of our staff members are constantly looking for things we can do in practice that will help individuals get better.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
We're going to take a quick break, and when we get back, we're going to talk about the schedule for the spring specifically, some pretty cool dates hanging out there. Before, a quick mention on Assistant Coach of the Year, Kathy Jewell. While you were in Southwest Florida, she was in Southeast Asia, and ran into her when she got back after her time away, and she's like, it was the only way I could get away from Dave was to go halfway across the world.
She has no problem getting away from me because she's hardly ever here. But she travels more than any person I've ever known. But she was National Coach of the Year. I think we've addressed that maybe a few too many times. But no, we're fortunate to have somebody that is as loyal as she is to this program and gives what she can. She was just gone for 4 or 5 days out recruiting. She's going to be here today. She's going to leave tomorrow, be out for 4 or 5 more days recruiting. And it's interesting because I asked the question today. I said, we're in a new world of college recruiting, and you have to continue to go out and pound the pavement and not just find players, but get to understand these new players that are at the high school level. We're looking at primarily sophomores in high school because on June 15th will be the first day we're allowed to communicate with those players. Yeah, okay. But then you have the portal, and what are you going to be a portal recruiter? Are you going to be a high school recruiter? Are you going to be both? How are you going to do that? And like I said, she was gone 4 or 5 days all across country this week. She's going to do the same thing this coming week. But yet when you recruit the portal, it doesn't cost you a dime.
True.
You just watch the players' names come up on the portal when they come up, and you spend about 2 days watching those players on volumetrics from what they did last year and at the college level. And clearly, we hit a home run a year ago when we had to go to the portal. We found 5 unbelievable human beings that came here and loved Purdue and gave us great effort and made a big difference. Can you do that every year?
Right.
And how does that affect continuity as far as how the program will work? as far as do you end up with too many kids in the same class or not. So I think it's a combination. That's going to be the key. You look at Rick Pitino at St. John's.
Yep.
He's all portal guy. He doesn't think he can find a high school player that can take the place of somebody that just graduated and scored 18 points a game and had 5 rebounds.
Right.
Okay, which is true. But I think if you can get the blue chipper that has a connection with your university, and you can get that high school kid, you have to get that kid. But otherwise, maybe you're better off getting a kid that is at a mid-major program or is disenchanted at a Power 4 university that wants to go to some place where she's going to enjoy it more. Then I think we're in a good position to do that because of the resources that we have here and the success that we've had and the direction that we're going and the facilities that we have, all those things that are attractive to Purdue that sometimes high school players, Cory, don't know. They don't know what Purdue has.
True.
They're not as familiar with Purdue because the name just doesn't ring quite as loud as some of these state-named schools. And so, but once they get into college, they're really familiar with what Purdue can do in the sport of volleyball. And so it's just an interesting topic that we talked about in our staff meeting this morning. And, we're going to continue to put someone on the road for 5 days a week out watching high school players, or are we going to focus more on players that have already proven what they can do? And I think it's going to be a combination of both.
Yeah.
So we actually came up with no answer.
No answer whatsoever. No, I like it. That's a running theme here today, and we'll stick with it. We'll be right back after this.
The Dig City podcast is brought to you by Franciscan Health, the exclusive healthcare provider for Purdue Athletics. Franciscan, inspiring health, working for a better tomorrow. Go to franciscanhealth.org for more information. Now, back to the show.
I teased that we were going to talk about the schedule, and we will. First, one more roster change that came out a few weeks ago. Your niece, Allie, no longer an active member of the Purdue volleyball roster.
Yeah, she's going to become a student coach, and people got a chance to watch Allie play a little bit this past year, and did a great job for us, and was highly recruited and highly ranked player coming out of high school at McCutcheon, played with the Boiler Juniors, and just had a really good youth career. But even during that time, she was having some physical issues, and it was just hard for her to get through a practice. There were just certain things that would trigger. It was a back issue, and it would trigger that back, and we got to a point when we had conversations. I said, if you're in this kind of pain right now, how are you going to feel when you're 40 years old?
Yeah.
Or 50 years old, or as old as I am, and those are things you got to think about, and she was in that kind of situation. So she made a really hard decision to give up playing, and she's going to now be a student coach for us here at Purdue, and what exactly that means right now would be kind of a fluid situation.
Okay.
She'll evolve into what it's going to be. But she was really disappointed that she had to do that, but I think she's working herself through it, and she definitely wants to be a big part of this team. She loves the players on this team. She loves being part of Purdue volleyball. It's just one of those things that was just a decision that had to be made.
Yeah.
And for her to be healthy down the road, and we'll certainly miss her, but we'll still see a lot of her around in the next couple of years.
That's good. I know Allie was such a huge part of the team, like you said, off the court, in the locker room, to know that the team's not going to be missing that.
Right.
That was one of the great things about last year's team, was that you could just tell. They really genuinely liked each other across the board, and that's not always the case. I've worked with enough teams in enough different sports to know that that's not always the case, and it really was with this group. So glad she's able to stick around.
Yeah, and we are too, and we think she'll have a big part of that continuity as we continue that camaraderie.
Awesome. Let's go ahead and get into the spring schedule. It was announced late last week, I believe. It kind of trickled out with some good announcements. It'll start a little over a month from now with Illinois coming to town for a match in Holloway Gym. It's March 28th, Saturday, 11 a.m. How did that geographically? They're our closest rival in the Big Ten, and a good program to
and we try to reach out with Illinois for a spring match as often as we can, and I don't think we played them last year or two, but we'll play the Illini here. At Holloway Gym, those matches are free. it's kind of first come, first serve type situation, but we're looking forward to playing a team that has a lot back. Got a couple of good transfers that will help them, and we'll see. I know at least one of those players, a kid that came out of Tennessee, really good opposite player that will be on their roster. So Illinois was a tournament team a year ago, and they'll be better, I think, this fall. So that will be a good competition for us and a chance for the local fans to come out and watch us play. And then I think we go to a gold and black scrimmage next. Is that right?
It is. The following Wednesday, April 1st.
Yeah.
No fooling. April 1st. Yeah. Inter-squad scrimmage, the gold and black game. That'll be a 5:30 start in Holloway.
And the benefit of coming to watch that match is you could come watch us play Illinois, and we've got 16 players. Mm-hmm. Well, you may not see more than 8 or 9 of them play the majority of the time. But when you come to this gold and black match, you're going to be able to see everybody get significant playing time. And that's why I thought the benefit of doing that, instead of finding another opponent to come in, let's get an intra-squad match, use some of our practice players on one side of the net to provide really good competition, but just let everybody play a lot of volleyball so our fans can see them and they get a chance to play in front of our fans.
That'll be fun to watch, and that'll set you up for 10 days later a game against Vanderbilt in Greenwood at Center Grove High School.
Right.
Very cool opportunity down in the Indy area to get out to a local high school and play Vandy, which is one of the feel-good stories in college volleyball last fall.
Well, they started out really well. I'm not sure all the time that they felt great about it, because they didn't have quite the season I think that they were hoping for.
Yeah.
But they were very, very competitive, and then they finished strong. I think they won a couple of matches in the SEC tournament.
They did.
That made them finish with a bang. But Vanderbilt was a program we played a year ago down at Fishers. In a spring match, and it was a good competitive match. We won the match, but it was very, very competitive. Now we're going to go back down to Center Grove High School and play down there, where 2 years ago we had a sellout match with Indiana. Center Grove does a great job of hosting, and they're going to have food trucks and make it a real big time event down there. So that will be good to see Vandy, which will be a team that will be better this year than they were a year ago. So that's the first 3, and then we finish with the match at Fishers.
Quick note on the Vandy: it is going to be a ticketed event. Check PurdueSports.com in the coming weeks for more information on that. But
free tickets. You just got to order them if you want to get one.
Exactly. Yeah. Exactly. Vandy lost to eventual national champ Texas A&M in the SEC tournament. So no shame in that. No. And then April 19th. That's a Sunday in the Fishers Event Center. Matchup with the Hoosiers, the home of the Indy Ignite. Really cool sort of coming together of all things volleyball down there.
I've already sold about 3,000 tickets.
Fantastic.
For that. Now, the way that works down there, just to clarify, is that to get into our match, which currently is a 2 p.m. start, you have to buy a ticket for the evening match, which is the Ignite playing somebody else. And I don't know if it's a team with a Purdue affiliation on it or not. I know you're working very quickly on that.
I am. I didn't have that pulled up like I should have.
That's okay.
It is Dallas Pulse.
Okay, we don't have anybody on the Pulse. But that's right now, those are the 2 best teams in the Major League Volleyball league. So
2 nights earlier there against Grand Rapids. So get there on the 17th to see more Purdue connections.
Well, we don't have on Grand Rapids.
We don't have Grand Rapids anymore?
She's now with Columbus.
There we go.
Anyway, back to the match with Fishers, Indiana. That'll be a great match. And I would be surprised if that's not a sellout. A huge crowd last year we played Vanderbilt. And we'll play. They'll have a fan fest in between our match and the match between the Ignite and outfit out of Dallas. But that will be a lot of fun. Indiana obviously finished, I think, 5th in the Big Ten last year. They expect, at least it seems like they feel like they're going to be better. They've got a lot of momentum going on their team and their program right now, so that will be just a tremendous amount of fun. That's how we'll wrap up the spring season. So that will be Fishers. If you have not been to the Fishers Event Center, it's a tremendous place to go watch, whether it's a concert or competitive sports. Lots of parking, lots of places to eat right around that area, and then we'll have the Fan Fest with, again, food trucks there as well that people can get out, and autographs will be available from both pro players and college players from Indiana and Purdue.
Good spring ahead. It'll be great to get back out and cheer on the Boilermakers. Let's look ahead real quick to the fall. We'll talk about it now, and I don't think we'll probably talk about it again, but there was some news in the volleyball world last week with a handful of rule changes for the coming season. And I know there were a half dozen or so rule changes. I don't want to spend any time on rule changes that you think are generally insignificant. Which ones stood out to you as the most needed?
Well, you're looking at them, and I'm not.
Okay.
Okay,
I'll go through them.
Well, here's some of the rule changes. One is they're going to allow athletes now to go from their side of the floor outside the pole and out of bounds to play a ball that might be on the other side of the net. Okay, that's not a rule that I voted for. I think that they use that internationally. Okay, I think they still use it in the men's game. They took it away from the women's game just because it was an opportunity for injury, in my opinion, and very few times do you ever actually see that play being made. But that was a rule that was voted on, and apparently enough people thought it should come back. There's a rule on changing sides of the floor. I think they felt like that was taking too long to do it after every single set. So now they took this out of one of the pro leagues, where after the second set, teams will change sides. So you'll play set 1, set 2, then you'll change sides, and you'll play 3 and 4 if you go that far, and then 5, there'll be another flip of the coin to see who's going to serve or take whatever side you want.
Right.
And you'll have that choice, and you'll play set 5 and stay without switching at point 8.
Okay.
So it'll be less moving back and forth. How necessary that is, I don't know.
Yeah.
That was not another one that I was too big on. But what else do we have? Was there anything I was in favor of?
The center line faults.
Okay, center line fault is it should have been in a long time ago. Yeah. That's the rule is now that if your foot is completely, a foot or a hand or a body part is completely on the other side of that midline, that's a violation. It used to be officials' discretion.
Yeah.
Was it their interference or not? But we're finding too many injuries. Now the game is, some athletes are so explosive that more than ever are they coming under the net because they may be taking off from 8 feet back, but they're landing on the other side of the net and the blocker's coming down on top or vice versa, and they're trying to get away from some of those injuries. So I was in favor of that one.
That's good. It is also that's something that's challengeable and reviewable. Yeah. Whether or not a violation is
They used to not be able to review that one, which I didn't understand either.
Anytime you can eliminate gray area, it's a good thing, I think. Optional timeout at 15. This is to be determined by coaches on match day or within leagues.
Let's pass on that one.
Okay, good. This one's kind of silly to me. Maybe there's more to it than that now. When you want to challenge something, you hold up the letter C now instead of a green card?
Used to be that you had the green cards there at the scorer's table that you would, or you could put it in your pocket for that matter, if you wanted to have it there. And anytime there was a challenge, you had to get the green card. But sometimes you had to take the time to walk over to the scorer's table, think about it, pause, and then fake like you're going towards it. And it took some time.
Okay.
Where now, all you got to do is hold up the C. I think that's a good move.
It might take away some gamesmanship.
Yeah. I just think it speeds things up. And what we're trying to do in most of these new rule interpretations is to speed up the game and not have a lot of downtime, because the challenge review is getting better. It's every year it takes a little less time because people are more familiar with officials having to look at the cameras and work the mouse and everything else to figure out where we're going with it. But we just want the game to move at a faster pace.
Definitely. The last one that I saw, this came up a few times last year, and I spoke about gamesmanship a minute ago. Coaches cannot challenge a call if a timeout has been initiated. So there's no longer going to be a situation where you take a timeout, think it over, and then come back from the timeout and challenge the call.
I think, again, that's speeding up play. I know one time we did that because I wasn't sure, and then you have a timeout and your players convince you that, hey, we should have challenged that, And I actually asked the down official, can I challenge this after the timeout? He said, yeah, I think you can. And so we did. Now you won't be able to do that.
I remember that because you were playing Minnesota, and Minnesota coach, after you did that, said, can he do that?
Yeah.
Everybody was kind of in.
He must have been the guy behind the rule change.
Probably.
Then, apparently. Even though I can't remember if we got the call reversed or not in that situation. Probably not.
Most likely not.
But anyway, more rule changes than normal, to be honest with you. I think the best rule change we've had in a long time was a year ago when they went to the double hit being allowed on the second contact, which for years officials were, a little bit inconsistent from one to the next on what was going to be considered a double hit violation, and nobody gets an advantage when somebody double hits it. It's not as smooth of a transition out of your hands if you don't. And I think that's allowed for setters to play with a lot more freedom and confidence, and non-setters, and when they have to set, to feel like they can go in and chuck a ball and not get called for it, and just continuation of play. The one thing that anybody that's a traditional volleyball fan wants is just longer rallies. Let the game be played, let the players decide it, and not have the officials get involved as much as possible. And really now, up officials are making less calls than ever before. As a matter of fact, I'm almost convinced that a lineswoman or man makes tougher calls during the course of the match than anybody else in the game, because those are some really tough calls that you have to make, whether a ball gets off a fingertip or a fingernail or something. So, but the less calls are being made, period.
So fast, and it's so easy to miss something.
Yeah.
On snap judgments, your heart goes out to them sometimes because these are impossible things. Luckily, the review does exist.
And a lot of discussion at our Big Ten coaches meeting that was in January, middle of January, early January, I can't remember exactly, about cameras. We're hoping to get improved cameras, whether it's with the same company or when that contract expires, go with a different company. Right now, the SEC has better cameras than we do, okay? And we have plenty of them, but they're just not high speed enough or whatever you want to come up with. And so eventually, it probably won't be this year. We may have one more year to wait, but we need to get better cameras to keep up with the pace. The Big Ten needs to be in the leading edge of all that.
For sure. One last thing, I wasn't going to bring this up, but you kind of you opened up the January meetings. The news out of that was the rumor of a Big Ten tournament on the horizon.
Yeah.
Eventually, there's no definitive win, but it seems like a possibility more and more.
Yeah,
every
what
day.
happened at that meeting, I don't think that this would be considered confidential, but that the Big Ten staff said we're going to start our tournament in 2027. And how many teams do we want to have in it? Are you okay with this and that? And basically, I think the number was same as women's basketball at 15. 15 teams would be in, and it would start in 2027. And then I think it was Jim Barnes from Iowa said, well, why are we going to wait till, if it's imminent that we're going to go to a tournament, why are we waiting until 2027 when the SEC is having their tournament and it seemed to go pretty well, which it did.
It did.
I mean, it was nice that they ran it and it went well. And the concern that the Big Ten coaches have always had, and this starts with people like John Cook. John Cook was always concerned about this and kind of was the force that prevented us from going to thoughts of the tournament earlier, and some others, was that it would make it more difficult for those teams that play deep into the Big Ten tournament. The same concern Matt Painter has,
For
and
sure.
Katie Gerald's, and anyone else coaching basketball, is the impact that has if you go deep into in the Big Ten tournament, and then you turn around 4 or 5 days later and you're playing in the NCAA tournament. How much juice do you have left? What do you have left in your tank? Well, the SEC had the tournament, and the SEC, and I hate to keep giving props to the SEC, but they've earned it. 2 teams in the championship game were both SEC schools that I think played in the championship game of the SEC tournament. So that kind of changed a little bit of the thought process, I think, with some people. But so right now, the Big Ten, and I think it's a long shot if we have a tournament this coming fall. I think it's a lot to ask for them to find the facility and arrange everything and get it all done. But we need to know pretty quickly because we're putting our schedules together.
For sure.
And it's nice to know what your schedule is going to look like, even though you're just doing the front end. The non-conference end is all we do, and then the Big Ten will determine. But if we go to a tournament, Cory, just get back to the important stuff, it'll just be a single round robin in the Big Ten. So you'll play 17 opponents if you have a tournament. You'll play 17 opponents.
Regular season.
And then that tournament will try to start early, kind of like it did with the SEC. So you're done with a little more time before the NCAA tournament begins. You want to maybe, I think the SEC was done maybe on the Thursday before
they were done
last weekend.
On the Tuesday.
Tuesday.
Yep.
Okay, so they were
got
done
a full week.
well in advance. And I think that's what you have to, if you're going to do it, that's the way you have to do it.
That's sort of the carrot you have to offer the teams to get extra rest.
Did I confuse anybody with that, you think?
I don't think so.
Again, let me say this. They're trying to see if it can be done this year.
Yep.
I think it's doubtful. I think it's
a lot to come together.
I think it's less than 50% chance, but it definitely will begin then in 2027. And I think that they've got a pretty good site for it. That will be good to start off with, and I think it will sell out. When they have it.
That'll be awesome. Something to look forward to. Kentucky beat Texas in the SEC title game.
Oh, was it?
Texas
Okay.
had taken out A&M in the semis.
Okay.
So, yeah. Well, we covered a lot of ground here, Coach.
We did. We didn't talk a ton about our team, but
didn't.
we'll have that to look forward to after maybe some spring matches are played, and we'll come back and have a good conversation.
Perfect.
Yeah.
We'll leave it there for today. We'll talk about the roster and how it's developing next time. Thanks, and have a.
Well, I appreciate you taking some time. I know your schedule looked like you had a busy afternoon, so I appreciate you squeezing us in here to talk some Boilermaker volleyball.
Just getting ready for baseball and softball in the frigid Midwest. So,
Yeah.
all right, we'll catch you next time. Boiler up.
Boiler up.